the alleged. What are you doing with our cameras?
You know what it is?
What is happening?
I think it's because of our guest. He's got those vampire qualities. I think it was too bright in the studio.
Wow. All right. Well, where do we go? There we are. I don't know. But anyways, David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout, straight-edge hardcore Hall of Famer hero. We're live on Fight TV, on all of our socials as well, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. This is a weird...
It's spooky.
Video thing you got effects now, special effects, or is it truly our guest?
Wait till the pyro hits.
Folks, this is Inside Story of Wrestling, and on this show we take you back and look at the career of wrestling stars from their inside perspective, having lived it, and give you a little bit more.
Hold on. Wait, is this going to help?
Where they came from.
Oh, it's better now. Now I can see everything.
Where they were and what they did. And folks, last week we brought you Armando Estrada. The week before that, Barry Darso, Smash of Demolition. Well, we are pleased to be joined by one Kevin Thorne this week, formerly Mordecai, and of course Kevin Thorne, and even 7 of his days of old in professional wrestling. Kevin, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm phenomenal. And
yes,
here we
are. You know what? You look phenomenal.
Seeing your two faces just make me just. Can we cuss on this, by the way?
Absolutely.
No, probably. All right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just lights up a freaking room. We'll just put it that way.
Wait, you asked for clearance to cuss and you use freaking?
Well, I'm glad he did. That's way better than what I was expecting.
Dave knows me all too well. I'll drop 5 F-bombs in 5 minutes. It's just the way it works.
What are you doing to our camera shots here? We can't keep focus.
The
lighting went weird, all when you came on.
Well, you know, I'm a magical, mystical beast. That is.
Well, Kevin Thorne, thanks for joining us, and thank you for spending some time to take a look back at your wrestling career, which started in Memphis, Tennessee. I think you had spent some time at the same gym that one Sid Justice Yuli Vicious went to, and that led you to getting trained as a professional wrestler. Tell us about that journey and how you decided to get into the wild world of professional wrestling.
Growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, USWA, of course, you know, Lawler, Dundee. I mean, the list of names that went through there were unreal. I believe it or not had a Baptist, not minister, but deacon father that hated wrestling more than life itself. I was not allowed to watch it. Everything else, that's stupid, that's this, that's that. So, I mean, friends were watching it, everything else, always trying to sneak over there to watch, Channel 5, Saturday mornings, every Saturday, trying to figure out a reason to get over to somebody's house just so I could get my hour fix of wrestling there for the time. Fast forward that, playing football, thinking I want to be a college football star, going to the NFL, all that stuff. Big meathead, imagine that. Look at this gigantic kickball head. It's stuff like that. And literally ended up during the summer, right before I was about to, go to University of Memphis to probably walk on to play football, stuff like that. I ended up meeting Sid. We somehow became workout partners. His workout partner kept missing. I was the morning manager there. We just started working out. We developed friendships, stuff like that. I never asked him about. Go ahead.
How many times did he cancel on you when he's supposed to show up for an appointment? Did he cancel a lot of his sessions?
If it's working out, his ass would be there. I'm telling you, no softball gets in the way of that, as the myth it is. And actually, you wasn't even playing softball then, so I always would see those, those rumors back in the day. I'm like, he's not even playing softball. I don't know what they're talking about, but I mean, it is what it is, and stuff. I mean, Sid's an intense dude. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he was an intense dude, and stuff. And literally, we just became workout partners, everything else. And one day it was, I'm getting back in it. So in Knoxville, Tennessee, Mo from Men on a Mission was running some sort of outlaw show.
That's surprising.
Yeah, well, hey, there it is. But I mean, it was packed. I mean, because the business was hot then. It was like 2,000 or 3,000 people. But anyway, about a week before, Sid was like, "Hey, look, I gotta go. I just want to knock some ring rust off. We're gonna go to Buddy Wayne's backyard." So Buddy Wayne was, a local Memphis legend and stuff like that. His son was Aubrey Wayne, who was like a referee and just, I mean, should have been probably the best in the business. I've never seen a kid flip that much, do all kind of crazy crap. We literally went to Buddy Wayne's backyard and literally were, meet Buddy, all this stuff, Buddy's Buddy, he's a special one. Basically, kick it off as far as, hey, go out there, unroll the carpet padding. As you're unrolling the carpet padding, it's in the backyard. Of course, there's like 5 rats, 2 dead squirrels, some other, other crap in there.
Define rats. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about rats.
Oh,
okay. I'm talking about real live
Memphis.
dead rats.
I mean, come on, it's Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, not those kind of rats, but those kind of rats.
I'm confused.
And yeah, I know you are. So get all that done, everything else. Roll off the mat. I get taught how to hit the ring ropes, which were basically steel cable with radiator hose and duct tape around them a little bit. No real turnbuckles. I don't know why Memphis never had turnbuckles. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Duct tape and towels is not a turnbuckle. Like Lawler should have had way more years taken off his life of his wrestling career from the turnbuckles in the Memphis territory. Like, none of them had real turnbuckles. They're all like duct tape and razor wire and radiator cord. So, and I mean, got in there, learned to lock up, grab a headlock, and that's about all I learned. And then the next week, I was in Sid's wrestling boots, wrestling trunks, and a leather vest. And off I went, and stuff. And it kind of just went from there. Somehow we started something called the Pride of the Brotherhood. It was POB on Power Pro Wrestling at the time, which basically was USWA. I still had no idea what I was doing. I remember I got beat up by somehow some angle, and they caught me, and they whipped me to get to Sid. And being young, dumb, and 20, I got the crap beat out of me by a leather belt, or leather weightlifting belt, in a backstage segment. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to take care of you, brother. Yeah, I'm going to take care of you. Yeah, fuck you. You did not take care of me. Like I'm going home going, that's not supposed to look like that.
Wow.
Did you get the hot dog on the handshake?
That was kind of, say it again?
Did you get the hot dog on a handshake after that?
That's all I ever got. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Again, I'm lost.
I mean, I did actually get paid one time during all of that from Mike O'Brien up in New York. Somehow Sid got me flown in. It was me, Tommy Rogers, and Sid. Got me flown in, everything else. Again, it was me and Sid versus Primo Canera and I think Reckless Youth. And we wrestled. We wrestled. I never even got in the ring somehow, and still got a $250 payday. Sid kept looking at me going, "Yeah, I'm not going to tag you. It's going to be just go to the shits." So I was just there to stand there. I was like, "Wrestling's great.
How long had you been training at that point?"
6 months, if that.
Oh wow.
I mean, if that. And stuff. And that's, I mean, I was spoiled at first. I thought that's how it was supposed to be, and stuff. And then me and Sid not really had a falling out. I just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And stuff. And, it's just how you go. So I started kind of going out on my own, trying to get booked in places, and he's trying to tell me you don't need to do that because you're going to get taken advantage of. And of course I got taken advantage of, but you're just young and dumb, but somehow full circle, came back to Memphis Championship Wrestling, and with Memphis Championship Wrestling was the new WWE developmental territory before, kind of with OVW, NXT, before all that stuff. I mean, really, if you look at developmental territories, I mean, USWA Power Pro was the first. I mean, yeah. Kurt Angle was down there. And then from there, whatever falling out happened, it became Memphis Championship Wrestling, and then, it just kept transpiring. But through, Memphis Championship Wrestling is where I ended up, being seen by Paul Bearer, Percy ended up coming up to me and goes, oh, yeah, because I did seven deadly sins, stuff like that.
Okay. I was going to ask where the name Seven originated from.
Yeah, so I was a mark for the movie Seven. So
great movie, by the way, still holds up to this day.
Yeah, so I came up with the Seven Deadly Sins thing. I was wrestling at Power Pro before that, and then and that's when Cornette kind of came in, took over. I went to Cornette because, young and dumb, you're not scared. I think that's the thing is, I think as you get a little bit further along in the business, you get a little bit more timid by doing stuff. At that time, I just was just a kid trying to get on TV. So I went to him, pitched the idea about Seven Deadly Sins. His girlfriend, and still Stacey Cornette, is named Sin. And it was basically, hey, I'm doing all this for Sin, kind of stuff. So we were doing backstage segments of, gluttony and lust and all this fun stuff like that. And it kind of all spiraled into this. Now, of course, it was Doug Gill. There was some bullshit that went on. It's typical Memphis wrestling, and we'll get past this real quick because it's just typical Memphis bullshit wrestling. Doug Gilbert said something about Lawler. Lawler got pissed and threatened to sue the company. And then all of a sudden, we're in Memphis Championship Wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how it happened.
Huh?
Welcome to the wrestling business. So it just is what it is.
You would go on in Memphis Championship Wrestling to be champion several times.
Yep.
Including hardcore, tag champ, and southern heavyweight champion.
Yeah, won a bunch. Terry Golden down there did a phenomenal job when he took it over, did stuff with it. And I mean, it was always the same. It always somehow circled back and forth. It really did with Power Pro, Memphis Champ. It's the wrestling business. It's always got some sort of angle, man. Like, let's be honest.
So you would go from there, though, to signing a developmental deal with WWE and being assigned to OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling. How did that deal come to be?
That was my first experience with developmental future endeavors, I guess. There's so many great guys. I mean, Spanky, American Dragon, or Brian Kendrick, Spanky, American Dragon, Pete Gas, Joey Abs. I mean, the list went on of the guys that were down there.
Pete Gas and Joey Abs are in that same category?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Daniel Bryan and Brian Kendricks.
Dude, Joey Abs could work his ass off. We'll just put it that way. He should have done, he was phenomenal. You had a list of guys down there, that could have and would have, Lance Cade, and then, basically they featured Endeavor Bryan, and both Bryans, Spanky and American Dragon, Pete Gas, a couple other ones. Hell, Pete was in fucking Puerto Rico at that time. They sent him down there. Him and Steve Bradley didn't even fucking really let him know. Like, all of a sudden, oh yeah, you're fired, by the way. How am I getting back? It just, wow. Whatever.
And it's interesting. You go into OVW right when the likes of a John Cena, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin Batista were leaving or had left OVW in development.
I know. I mean, look at that cast of characters, and then you have Kevin fucking Furtick. Like, what? I'm just kidding. Yeah. But I mean, all those guys and stuff. It literally, so I went up to a camp that was at Les Thatcher's, and this is when Les had whatever at what was Les's
HWA.
HWA, yeah. So it was me, Tom Coe, AJ Styles, Rene Dupree, Sonny Siaki. I'm trying to think. There was a pretty good cast of characters up there, and that was our tryout. So I remember still to this day, and AJ, if you watch this, I love you, and you've already been told the story. Literally, I had the flu so bad I could barely move, and I went to Kevin Kelly, and I was like, "Hey, look, I literally I'm gonna die today, probably." Wow. He's like, "Well, might want to die or not get signed," and I went, "Oh, okay." And they were like, "Yeah, you got to get in there and wrestle 20 minutes, whatever, and do all." They did all these stupid jumps and bumps and all this stupid stuff that then you had to wrestle a match. So it's like 10 minutes of cardio, then you had to wrestle a match. So luckily, I had AJ with me. For some reason, AJ was nice enough to go, "I know you're struggling. I'll get you through this. Just follow me." Literally got me through it all, and I survived, and it was all because of AJ. And then about 2 weeks later, I get the call from Johnny Ace. "Hey Kevin, it's Johnny. We really liked your stuff, and we'd like to bring you up to Ohio Valley Wrestling. Does that work for you?" Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was there for. Okay, well, here we go. All right. So, and then off I went. So then, you get to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and then like 3 weeks into it, all of a sudden there is no Davis Arena anymore because they decided they're going to do a new Davis Arena. So we're just all out in limbo, just hanging out. It was like, what the heck? So, but yeah, I mean, you talk about the cast of characters that were up there during then. I mean, Sean O'Hara was my roommate for a time. That was awesome. You had the cream of the crop there, man. You have everybody that's a superstar and then some now that was, there.
And this was also the time when, as you talked about Davis Arena, no Davis Arena, I think WWE, I don't know if this was before or after FCW, but there was that whole weird time where they were sort of trying out 2 different developmentals, and they did.
That was FCW was way after kind of that time. You had the FCW and Deep South time that they tried. I mean, to get to the point they are now in NXT. I mean, honestly, they've only made it better. The way that they finally got to that point. I mean, in stuff. It's built for that thing. But 2, man, you've got, during that time, I mean, we barely had a trainer. We barely had tape. We didn't have half the stuff that NXT does. No gyms, no nothing. I mean, it only could have got to the point that it is now because, I mean, really, the way they're paying some of these guys, paying stuff, it should have always been like this. I mean, we're technically the AAA team to the WWE. I mean, you're talking about $1 million worth of talent just sitting down there. And I mean, for a long time, at Davis Arena, Davis Arena was the first Davis Arena when I first got there was an old there were old Civil War bunker houses, ammunition stuff, probably more asbestos in there than you knew what to do with. But you literally, if you had to go to the bathroom or whatever else, you were like, trying to find a secret place to hold onto the wall to poop. I mean, it's like, there were no bathrooms, there were no showers, there were no this. I mean, literally the locker room for the Davis Arena, you go in there and there's, the first day I got there's Brock, there's Batista, there's Cena, there's Orton, there's Shelton, there's, you name it that's in there. And we're all in like a confined space of like 10 by 10, like literally, tripping over each other just to get get dressed. And I mean, it was a building and process to where it is now. So
what were some of the things you were told to do to stand out to eventually get called up to the main roster?
It comes down to gear and body. I'll say to this day, my wife, I've told her before, I don't want to toot her horn too much, but we ended up started dating, moved in together, and literally there for a while, I was an in-betweener. I've always been a big dude, but I never was ripped or cut or 100%. So, promo wise, always had good promos. I mean, if you got, guys like Paul Heyman and Dusty Rhodes tell me they love how I do promos, stuff like that. Okay, guess what? I can pretty much, go, hey, I can do them. Was I given the opportunity like I should have? No, but hey, you know what? It's not a deal breaker. My life is pretty on point right now. But to get up to that level, I mean, it comes down to body, man. I mean, they're selling something on TV and everything else, and you have to look, like an action figure. I mean, really and truly, you should. I mean, we have to look larger than life. We need to look larger than life. I was, always a huge fan of, The Undertaker, The Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, those Sid. I mean, those guys, because, I mean, when you saw them, they were larger than life. I remember one time in the Memphis days, and this is, I think, and this is to me how, in my mind, how a wrestler should aspire to be. I mean, there's literal guys that do all kind of crazy stuff. I can't do that, but this is my way. I went to the Mid-South Coliseum on a Monday night. Sid was wrestling. This was before I even knew Sid and stuff. Sid was just there for a Monday night match, everything else. And we're out there, and we're like, oh, yeah, screw you, all this stuff. And he came, and he pointed at me, and I'm like, oh, what are you going to do? I was like freaking – I was a 245-pound linebacker in high school. I thought I was tough. Literally, he ripped my shirt down and says, sit down, boy, I'm going to kill you. And I went, wow. Yes, sir. All right. I was like, I got to go, just messing with me. But that's when you were like, yeah, you know what? I could jump this rail, but he's going to beat the fuck out of me. That's, and I think that's where it comes down to is guys got to look the part. They got to be the part. I mean, if you're a Bray Wyatt, you got to be so psycho that everybody has no idea where you're at. A guy like Brock, literally, I mean, he looks like he probably would just rip your arm off and pick your bones with his teeth. I mean, and that's, it's just.
And not think twice about it.
No, it'd just be like, whatever, Yeah. So, I mean, so when I met my wife, quick story on Brock, and I'll not go too far off the subject, but he lived upstairs from her.
Really?
He lived downstairs. She lived up. He used to drive his Harley into his damn living room. I mean, it just didn't care. I mean, that's just how he was. It just doesn't matter. And to me, you got to live your life with a little bit, but that's pretty badass. I mean, that just tells you what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So.
You would go on to WWE from OVW, and you would be Mordecai on the SmackDown brand, and that would last for a couple of months. And then WWE made a big move, bringing back ECW, placing ECW on Sci-Fi, where you then transitioned into Kevin Thorne. What was the difference between those two? Because the look, especially, both Mordecai all white, and then Kevin Thorne all red. vastly different but really similar at the same time. In your mind, as you presented those characters, what was the difference between the two, and why did we go from Mordecai to Kevin Thorne?
Well, Mordecai was a dumbass and got in a fight in a bar and kind of ruined a lot of stuff. Ended up, getting sued, everything else. That's a whole other story.
Well, that's why we're here.
We'll do that one on the next.
But wasn't Mordecai getting prepped for a run with The Undertaker at that time also?
Yeah, that's what it was. I still remember it was Texas somewhere, I think, and Taker comes to the ring, and I'm in there, and we're all doing stuff, rolling around, and he just looks at me and goes, "You're the biggest dumbass I know." And I went, "Yep, yes I am." He goes, "What were you thinking?" I go, "Man, I wasn't. Just happened."
Some people may not know the story, so tell us what you're willing to tell us about what happened.
Long story short, it was me, Maven, and Sly. We were at a bar in Louisville, Kentucky. We had literally just left a show that night. I mean, my hair was all white, everything else at this time. I looked like a giant, jacked up Colonel Sanders in Kentucky, I guess.
So you were worshipped.
Yeah, oh yeah. Obviously, he just was doing a different kind of worshiping when he was walking up to me. And like literally, Sly and Maven were getting all the tail in the world. This young man literally didn't want to have anything to do with it and kept pushing through us, and you could tell he just wanted to fight us all night long. So finally, I look at my girlfriend, who's my now wife, Katie, and I said, "Look, we gotta go. Like this dude, I'm telling you, I've seen it in my life. This guy's gonna do something stupid."
Yep.
So I'm like, "I'm going to the bathroom real quick. Let's go." Right after this. So I come back. She's kind of in tears, everything else. He might have, used the C word, some other things. No. You just don't say to women. And basically told her, "Fuck us, fuck that," everything else. And then when I look, he's walking towards me with a beer bottle. And his couple friends are behind him, within reason. I'm like, fuck. Maven and Sly, they're ladies' men. They have no fucking clue that a fight's about to happen. It's like, oh, fuck me. And everything else. And so my kickball size head might have greeted his head.
May or may not have.
I think I tripped. I don't know. And then next thing I know, he's on the ground, and his friends look up like, "Oh fuck, this big motherfucker is insane." Because I wore sunglasses on the top of my head because I was cool back then. I don't know why. In a bar because it was bright, and literally cut my head. So now I have a crimson mask.
Oh wait, you didn't take the sunglasses off before you fell into them?
Absolutely not.
I wasn't thinking about doing it. That's the thing. It just kind of was like, oh shit. So literally, and there we go. And now everybody around is like, oh fuck. So long story short, I walked out of it was like partying in the Red Sea in this bar. They're like, holy fuck. So walked out. He's still wherever. I walked right up to the cops and I said, "Look, I think I gotta go to jail. I don't know. Whatever. I'm an idiot." And they went, "Nope, go home. You've always helped us out. You're always one of the most respectful guys we know. Everything else, go home." So go home. On Monday, I get a call that the Louisville Police Department is there to pick me up.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So
he pressed charges.
Yeah. Yep. So, it's our bond, buddy. If you're out there and you're watching this, I love you. I really didn't mean anything by it, but hey, it happened. So.
So how does that?
So yeah, there was that story.
So how does the conversation go when you get to TV, and now you have to go and talk to Vince or whoever that would be?
Oh yeah, that was. yeah, I walked into Vince and stuff and went, look, what do I fucked up. And he goes, we'll fix it. Seems like you were in the right. We'll fix it. And I mean, they did. I mean, they hired really nice lawyer and everything else that I had to pay for. But I mean, and a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars later that he got from my WrestleMania, from my checks and other things. So yeah, it is what it is. It's a lesson learned.
This
It's
stuck with
100%.
you. This stuck with you well beyond that night, then, financially and professionally.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I never saw really a pay-per-view check that I had. I mean, Judgment Day, Great American Bash, yeah, I even part of some of my WrestleMania.
Wow.
So yeah.
Which
So
bars do you go to again?
lesson learned.
Where do you frequent? I'll be in Louisville in a couple of
Get out
weeks.
of here.
We got history,
Get out of here.
we got unresolved issues.
You can wedgie me anytime you want. I'm just saying.
Back in a couple of years ago at Blizzard Brawl, I was
You were young and stupid also.
I was young and stupid. I didn't have sunglasses on my head, but I did get in the ring with you. And I'm not going to call it a wrestling match because there was only one wrestler in the ring, and that was you. But you. How do I word this, David?
Dude, you were
I
handling
violated you with your underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's the term in the business? Smartening up. Yeah, that didn't happen to me. It happened to me, but it didn't happen to me. I certainly. Oh, see, this is sinister, evil laugh
Dude,
over there.
You were flossing your liver. Okay.
That video available on our YouTube channel. Me versus Kevin Thorne at Blizzard Brawl.
In a Master Lock challenge. If just Chris Masters wouldn't have bailed on you guys, you would have been fine.
It was the Master Lock challenge, which I did put you in, by the way. I couldn't quite complete it because you're a large man, muscles and such. But
well,
okay,
not so fat realtor now.
So that was the end of Mordecai.
Yep. So that was the end of Mordecai. So yeah, I got sent back to OVW for a year, kind of when stuff was processing and going on.
Was that punishment?
And during that time, that's where they came up with, they wanted me and Gangrel and Shelly to be me and Gangrel to be a tag team and Shelly to be our valet. And then all of a sudden I got fired. And was off about 2.5 months. Since I lived in Louisville, I just stuck around. Still kind of wrestled at OVW here and there. And then that's when Dreamer called me and goes, "Hey, look, they're coming up with they're rebranding ECW." And Tommy, well, I can't do Tommy's voice very well, but in Tommy's voice a little bit is it's going to be really stupid and crap because of they want all these like sci-fi characters. Who's going to believe that shit for ECW? I mean, Kevin, we're hardcore,
Yeah.
So it just it was what it was.
A hardcore vampire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all you guys did is bleed, for God's sakes. It should be fucking. I mean,
I remember
although
that
it's amazing for a bunch of hardcore guys, they always bitched every fucking time I touched them. Oh, you're too stiff. Oh, I thought you were hardcore.
Right. Well,
Get up.
sometimes you need that chair, that table, or that fluorescent tube to get through. But be that, and I'm not saying that about Tommy, but in some cases they don't want to wrestle; they want to put the show on. But I remember when ECW debuted on Sci-Fi. I remember that whole ECW run with WWE was unique because they tried to be as true as they could to the old ECW, but it very quickly evolved and turned into Sci-Fi making demands on WWE, saying we need to have sci-fi characters. They're network people; they don't understand wrestling, right? And then you there with Ariel and becoming part of the new breed as well. Things happened very rapidly in the WWE ECW era. How was it living through that time, knowing or feeling however you felt about the brand ECW of old and the ECW you were involved in?
You know, the ECW of old was, I mean, those guys worked their asses off, you know, blood, sweat, and tears to get there, everything else. You know, so you definitely couldn't crap on it. You know, I know those guys didn't like what the new stuff was, but, you know, for us new guys, I mean, this was our chance. I mean, we wouldn't have had this chance without it, so we were kind of proud of it. You know, kind of thing. You know, but the new guys that came in, I mean, are not new guys. I mean, they've, you know, RVD, you know, Dreamer, all those guys, Sabu. I mean, they were awesome with us. They were awesome with us. I mean, you know, they just wanted to put on a good match. I mean, never in my life, you know, and I got to wrestle Rob and Dreamer and Sabu, all those guys on so many house shows and stuff for you know, the ECW house shows, and man, never did they downplay us. I mean, you know, they helped out. They didn't, you know, oh, I got an ego because I was this. I mean, all they wanted to do is go out there and have the best match of the night. I mean, yeah. and that was the best part. I mean, you know, every time I, you know, had the, you know, opportunity to work Rob, I mean, that's all he cared about, dude. And he knew how to set up everything. I mean, he made you look like $1 million. You know, still as a young, you know, even though I've been wrestling for a while and everything else, you're still green. I mean, you're you know, people don't realize it. You got to be for a long time at the top to not be green. I mean, you still have those quirks and those things and stuff like that. And, you know, champions like, you know, Rob, you know, they just know how to do their stuff. And they've seen so many crowds and been a part of so much electricity that they know where to put their stuff, and then they know how to build it for you. And I mean, Rob would build the match for me and stuff. I mean, you know, he had all his stuff at the end. And the best part about Rob is you never blew up wrestling him. I mean, as a big guy and you're having to run around and all this stuff. I mean, Rob would literally set you down in the middle of the ring, and then it's just where you stayed the whole rest of the time. Now, granted, his big old ass crushing your chest hurt sometimes, but I mean, he just knew where to do it. And I mean, there's just, you know, and that to me is something special, you know, in getting to be in a ring with somebody like that is they know their stuff. And that's the coolest part about wrestling is, you know, if you're going to have a character and you're going to be that character and stuff like that, and you know your stuff so good that you can just set it up and then just know where it's at and still listen to the crowd. I mean, he would take subtle more pauses and stuff like that, but he would knew it. And then he just, you know, and I was always Kevin Vampire Dude, just stay there, dude. Here it comes, you know. And it just like you're just laughing the whole like it. That's what makes wrestling special as far as being a performer, you know.
What was it like for you then, knowing the legacy of the ECW originals, now being teamed up with, I believe, Elijah Burke, Marcus Corvan, yourself, and there was one other. I'm drawing a
Matt Striker.
Going into WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, and working with those legends.
Dude, I mean, it was insane. You know, and the thing is, you know, we only had so much time on that, you know, in Mania, but nobody really realizes like the week before we were down in Mexico wrestling. So we wrestled 4 times in Mexico as that tandem. We had some of the, I mean, just off the chain matches with those guys. I mean, we went out there every night because, you know, Tiny had come up to us and was like, hey, look, they're talking about cutting our match right now. There's only one way that we can make sure that we're in Mania, you know, live and on pay-per-view, is we got to go out there and destroy it. And man, we went out there and I mean, we effing destroyed it every night. I mean, it was insane. I still remember Scott Armstrong was always our ref. And I mean, the Armstrong family, I mean, probably one of the greatest families ever in wrestling. And Scott's was one of the greatest performers, but even, I mean, helped me out so much as a referee, thank God, and stuff. And I mean, I still remember a couple of nights I was taking the pin and he's just grabbing my hand going, "Are you all right?" That was fucking amazing. I mean, when a guy like that says it, that's the truth. And stuff. So, I mean, going into Mania, I know there were some time things and they still weren't sure. And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, you guys are really going on. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, you kind of just didn't know. We were the one that could have been cut out, unfortunately. I mean, we were. So, I mean, walking out was almost like you're almost like had tears of joy in a way, as the way I describe it. And then you saw Elijah Burke's outfit, and then you just started laughing. And then it just, whatever Rio thing that he had on, I love you, Elijah, but that was awful. Going to the ring and stuff. I mean, I still remember looking at Monty and, just being, this is unreal, man. It was just off the chain when you're out there. You just don't realize an arena that size, how the volume goes. It goes out and then it comes back. Yeah. So you slam, you do something, and it's like, oh, wait, hold on. They didn't. Whoa. I mean, it was just like nothing other, So
it would be shortly thereafter you would find yourself at a crossroads again, back in OVW.
Yep.
How did that come to be?
I have no idea. I don't know. I didn't kiss the right ass. Suck the right dick. I don't know. It just happened. I don't know. Stupidity, I guess, in some way, sometimes, because, I've always had a hard head in a way. You tell me not to touch it because it's fire. I for some reason still got to burn my hand. And I don't know. I don't know.
Well, but that wouldn't be the end, because you'd hear from WWE again about a main roster Raw. Yeah. Of course, they called me the day after my hip surgery and stuff, because I was over it. Decided to go get my labrum was torn forever, kind of thing, and literally I got called. Oh yeah, we got a great idea. You and the Undertaker, and I was like, of course. As I've waited up 6 months. Nobody got the memo. I told all the doctors, kind of thing. And, everything happens for a reason, man. I've got to grow. I've got to be my kids, stay-at-home dad through thick and thin. I've got to be at every my son's, every game my son has played football on. I've got to see my daughter's dance recitals. I've got to do stuff that, if I don't have a championship belt, or get to say I was WWE champion, you know what? It is what it is. I got to say, at the end of the day, I've been a world champion dad, that's what
and stuff. And honestly, I mean, that's, I've got to, I mean, like Dusty, I've got to wine and dine with kings and queens. I've been all around the world, man. I've seen it all. I've done some cool stuff. I've still been a part of my kids' lives. I know, guys up there now, they probably are having, they got a little bit more slack in their schedules and stuff like that. But I mean, I can't complain. I was there. I got to touch it, taste it, feel it, and I got to be underneath those lights. And there's not a lot of guys out there that can say that, other than me, that have wanted it and have worked real hard at it. I've got to do it. So, looking back on everything, man, I know I'm blessed, and stuff. Could I have gone further? Yeah, but I don't know at what cost.
And that's just
and you
it.
can.
I mean, right
So,
now you still have all your health. You're doing great.
oh yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
dominating the real estate market in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah,
You know, you're
yeah.
doing awesome.
And the coolest thing is I'm using what I learned in WWE and in wrestling to make money. Elsewhere. I mean, and that's the coolest thing. I mean, you get people that are like, oh, well, you haven't been doing real estate that long. I'm like, I worked for a billionaire psycho. In a good sense, I'm just saying, you have some quirks, but I'm like, one of the biggest marketers in the world. Like, try to tell me that by learning from him, I can't market something. I mean, I can market anything. I mean, look at that. It's the champ is home. I mean, it's, I have my own belt made for this, and stuff. And I mean, people light up when they see a belt. I mean, it's Frosted Flakes, man. It's Tony the freaking Tiger minus Joe Exotic. I mean, like literally, they light up when they see a belt. I mean, it brings out the inner kid and stuff like that. And you get like I had some older ladies that are just, they look like old Bettys that are just prude, and then they see that belt and then they go like, oh, back in my day, Dick the Bruiser and this and this, and my mama used to take me to this, and I mean, it gets people talking. I mean, that's the thing is, I think, as a whole, people are, oh, wrestling's carny. No, it's not. It's Frosted Flakes in a way of yeah, they're gonna hide in the closet and tell you they didn't watch it, but deep down they're gonna tell you they watched it. It's just as long as it's done.
They always want to touch the belt. They always want to touch a belt.
Always. Dude, always.
And
it's a given.
One thing that probably shouldn't go unsaid is you talk about your wrestling experience and the marketing that comes and helps you in the job of being a realtor, the career being a realtor. Realtors are almost like pro wrestlers in the fact that it's about marketing your brand.
Oh my God! Some of these people are the biggest gimmicks in the entire world. And that's the thing is, I think that they think that I'm young sometimes or in this business, and then I'm like, sweetheart, I've seen this play like 1,000 times. You're no different than any diva I've ever met. The same with some of the men in this business. It's like, I've seen it. It's not that you're showing me nothing I haven't seen before. Which is, I mean, it is what it is. It's fun.
Well, Kevin Thorne, Mordecai, 7. So great to talk to you again here on PWR. In fact, actually, I think this might be the first time in a very long time you've appeared on the broadcast.
It is. It's a very long time.
I don't think I've ever been on PWR, by the way.
You just don't remember. See, you were so you
think
got knocked through a loop during our match that you forgot.
First of all, let's be honest, Kevin. He's blackballed you off the show. I'm like, hey, we need to do this.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, because you were still hot about, the wedgie from here. Look out.
Hey, it's not that kind of show yet.
See, they always want to touch it. That's what I'm talking about.
Kevin Thorne, if people are looking for some services from a realtor, how can they find you and how can they book you and use you to sell or buy a home?
So in Indianapolis market, of course, 317-869-7646. My email is kevinfertigrealtor@gmail. And then, they can find me on Facebook at Kevin Fertig Realty. And
but you're also on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Love to help them.
How can we find you on Twitter and Instagram?
At the Kevin Fertig, because Dave Hero helped me pick that both of those out a long time ago when I decided I wanted to come back and start working at Six Flags. So
it's a good career choice.
Oh, it was. Hey, I got to ride a lot of rides with my kids. It's one of the best times I've ever had. Trust me. So,
well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's really good taking a deeper look into your career. While many would say it wasn't a long career, you're happy with that. It was a very impactful and meaningful career in professional wrestling, and you did a lot and were exposed to a lot of people and was a big part of a lot that WWE did, and they had big plans for you that you decided, well, a lot of it was timing, that your family and the future was more important, and that's admirable. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you again soon here on Pro Wrestling Report.
I look forward to coming back. Then we'll discuss the backstage politics of Blizzard Brawl.
That's what I want to hear.
No.
Folks, Kevin Thorne, thank you so much for joining us, and still playing with the gimmicks here, but inside story of wrestling, David, here, always great to really hear from the people who lived it, what really happened.
And a lot of people didn't know it was from Memphis to Louisville to the ECW brand. I mean, and the stories of Mordecai and all the stops in between.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And this was before Twitter. This was before Twitter and TikTok and all the other shit that can help you get over. This was back in the days of tape trading. Take that, you idiot motherfuckers. No, I'm just kidding.
On that note, thank you, Kevin, for joining. Look, he's good. You're messing with these powers, mystical powers of yours are just taking over. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Inside Story of Wrestling. We'll be back with another brand new episode next Friday night, 7 o'clock p.m. live, right here on Fight TV and across our social media channels. And in the meantime and in between time, check us out Mondays and Wednesdays on Fight TV. Mondays, of course, it's Primetime Live. Wednesdays, it's Reaction. And then every day, it's PWR Today, the podcast, available also on YouTube and our Facebook channel. We got you covered, 360-degree coverage of professional wrestling from the Pro Wrestling Report. For that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again Monday night for Primetime Live.